Hello and thank you for joining me. My name's Sarah Frost and I work for Naturetrek, the wildlife travel company, who I'm sure many of you have heard of and will have travelled with us before. Today I'm going to be talking to you about our cruise in Norway. I lead a lot of our cruises around the world and I led this one in January. And this cruise goes in search of orca, humpback whales and northern lights. So in recent winters, the fjords of northern Norway have become the stage for one of Europe's great wildlife spectacles. And between November and February, vast shoals of herring have been congregating in the fjords and inlets in the region around the Tromsø area, which is several hundred kilometres north of the Arctic Circle. And such an enormous glut of food does not go unnoticed in the natural world. So following behind these shoals of herring are orca, humpback whales, and circling overhead are white-tailed eagles. And although there are daily boat trips out from Tromsø to go and see these whales, a lot of time is actually taken up on the excursion of just travelling and getting to and from the locations of where the whales are. So really your time actually watching them is very limited, and a far better way to witness this amazing wildlife spectacle is to base yourself on board a vessel out in the fjords, close to all the action. And that's exactly what we do. This is the vessel here that we use, which is the Rembrandt van Rijn. And this is a chartered vessel. We charter the entire ship. So all passengers on board are traveling with Naturetrek, and we take 33 passengers. It's a three-masted schooner, and it really feels extremely adventurous and intrepid to be on board this sailing vessel out in the Arctic fjords. So just so you can get your bearings, we fly into Tromsø, which is 217 miles above the Arctic Circle, and then we spend the rest of our week travelling around all of these fjords in search of the orca and humpback whales. And you can see exactly what I mean here as to why going out on one day trip just will not be enough. We can easily be in one fjord one day and then not be able to find the whales and realise that they've moved 100 miles to the east. And then we need to sail through the night and go and find them again. And this gives us a huge amount of flexibility and opportunity to actually do that. And this is the route that we did in January 2020 when I led the cruise. And you can see there isn't really a set itinerary. Our itinerary and our route is completely dictated by where the wildlife is. And we have total control over the vessel to go exactly where we want, which is the beauty of chartering the whole vessel for ourselves, which is one of the selling points of all of our cruises. So we start our cruise in the beautiful Arctic city of Tromsø. You can see the beautiful Arctic cathedral here is very clear on the beautiful landscape. And we board our vessel. This is just some photographs of the cabins and the saloon area. It's extremely comfortable. And we set sail and we travel through these stunning fjords. It's really exciting to get out on deck, wrap yourselves up, and go and start looking for whales as soon as we leave. And the fjords are just absolutely beautiful. The spectacular scenery that surrounds you and the peace and tranquility is fantastic. And we're out searching for whales. We're out on deck. There's been myself and also some expedition leaders on board who are extremely good naturalists as well. And we'll be standing out on the bow of the boat looking for any sign of whales. We're looking for a blow. We're listening for a tail slap or a blow, looking for a fluke in the distance. And we welcome everyone to join us out on deck as well. The more eyes, the better. Of course, you can always go in just to go and get a hot chocolate, a cup of tea or coffee. Warmth is never far away in the saloon. And as soon as we hear the word, something's been seen, then we can get involved in the heart of the action. And we can go out on the ribs, on our zodiacs, and we can go and get close to the whales. So these are humpback whales here. And now most humpbacks will move south into warm waters in the winter months, but these animals actually remain in the fjords of North Norway for as long as the herring are around. They're fantastic animals to watch. They're extremely playful. It's lovely to watch them fluking, which makes them very photogenic. And their flukes are all individual, so you can recognize different individuals from their tails and the patterns underneath their tails, and this is how many scientists build up ID catalogues of them. And we do also have a humpback whale scientist on board as well, who's been carrying out research with them, who's fantastic to have on hand and lend a bit of knowledge as well. And it's not just humpbacks, as I said, we're after orca as well. So this is watching an orca from the bow of the boat. Now, orca, also known as killer whales, but I don't usually use that name because killer whales makes them sound quite aggressive. People believe that that name derives from the old days of whalers, when they used to call them killers of whales, and the name has been switched. But the Latin name Orcanus orca literally means kingdom of the dead, so this isn't much better, really. Either way, they don't seem to have a name that represents how beautiful and magnificent these animals are. And they're actually not whales at all. They're the largest species of dolphin, and it's been estimated that the Norwegian coastal waters holds about 1,000 orca, although this is very difficult for researchers to accurately estimate with them moving around so much. But they get to about 9.5 meters in length, which is almost as long as a school bus, and weigh 6 tons. They really are large beasts, and just seeing these coming out of the water, the adult males will have a dorsal fin that's 1 meter in height. They're completely unmistakable. Really just sends a shiver down your spine, and the excitement on the boat and out on deck when we're watching these animals, which often will come around the boat as they're feeding on the herring, really is infectious. And now the vessel that we're on was originally built as a herring lugger in 1947, and then it was rebuilt as a 3-mast passenger schooner. And when the action has calmed down, and when we're in between sailing between fjords, we can actually all get hands on deck and raise the sails and start sailing. We can switch off the engine and go under our own power of wind power, and it really feels extremely intrepid, I think, to get everyone involved in this. You don't have to be involved if you don't want to, but most people love to have a go at lifting the sails all together. It's jolly hard work, and it's a very good way to warm up while you're outdoors. And overhead, while we're doing this, we hope to see the magnificent sea eagles. These are white-tailed sea eagles, affectionately nicknamed flying barn doors. They have a huge wingspan, 2 to 2.5 meters, and they are just natural predators of these mountainous fjord regions. They fly down to the water and catch fish, pluck fish out of the water, and are an incredible sight to see. And many of you will know that we now have, of course, white-tailed eagles reintroduced into Scotland, and these birds that have been reintroduced into Scotland were reintroduced from the Norwegian fjords. In Scotland, they were hunted to extinction in 1918, and they were reintroduced into Scotland in 1975. We now have an estimated 108 pairs, nesting pairs in Scotland, which is fantastic, and it's been a very worthwhile and successful reintroduction programme. And although it hasn't been without its controversy, of course, sheep farmers have always been concerned that the sea eagles may take their lambs. I think it's unlikely that they take any lambs. If they are seen with a lamb, it's likely that they're just scavenging a dead carcass. If you think about what the hills are like on the islands in Scotland, they're very exposed. They're exposed to harsh weather. So if they are seen with one, it's likely that they've just scavenged a dead one. And the market value of a lamb is anywhere between sort of 50 and 80 pounds. However, white-tailed eagle tourism on Mull alone is worth £5 million a year, and £2.4 million every year on the Isle of Skye, because people want to come to see them. They pay to stay in accommodation, they eat in local restaurants, cafes, they pay guides, and it brings a huge amount of money into the economy. So this is a great example of a conservation project that has been extremely successful, and just goes to show that when you make an animal worth more alive than dead, it really can work. In terms of other bird life, most birds do head south for the winter, so there isn't a huge abundance of sea ducks or divers in these northern fjords as there is further south, but we should keep our eye out for common and king eider, long-tailed ducks, common and velvet scoter as we're cruising along. And although the majority of our wildlife and landscape viewing will be from the comfort of the deck on board the Rembrandt Van Rijn, we will get on shore for a leg stretch, and this is the group snowshoeing. We don our snowshoes and we'll go out to explore. We often split into 2 groups, or perhaps even 3 groups. We'll go as a leisurely paced group for people who would just like to potter around the harbour at a low level without going up into the hills, and then we can have a slightly more intrepid hiking group who will go with another guide up for lovely panoramic views up the hills. And we do this with varying degrees of elegance. This is me, much to the amusement of my group. I promise I didn't fall over. I just thought I'd have a little sit down to look at a plant. But at least I had a soft landing. They can take a little bit of getting used to, snowshoes, but it's really good fun to try. And the winter days are short in the Arctic, in the northern Arctic at this time of year. Twilight is from 9 in the morning to about 2:30 p.m. And I took this photograph at 1:50 in the afternoon as we went off for a walk. So we're exploring these frozen, completely silent birch forests with only the occasional sound of a calling owl, which is incredible. And we walk out onto frozen lakes and just see this vast, silent Arctic wilderness is really something that's quite special and not something that you find in many other parts of the world. Other wildlife that we may see include elk, which we can see along the shorelines. It's quite nice to watch those. We should always keep our eyes out for things. It's not just whales that we're looking for. We may also see dolphins, white-beaked dolphins or porpoise. And indeed, that's what's on the presentation screen here in the saloon. So this is where we have our meals on board. But every evening, we'll have lectures from either myself or another one of the team leaders on board, who are all scientists and have a comprehensive background working with wildlife in the area. And this chap here, one of our leaders, is giving a talk on the white-beaked dolphin and other cetaceans that are in the area. And the third and very special component of this trip is also seeing the northern lights. Now, the northern lights are caused when particles from the sun, charged particles from the sun, interact with the Earth's magnetic field, and they do this around the polar regions. And this diagram here shows the auroral oval, where you have a much higher chance of seeing them. And this auroral oval is centered over the geomagnetic North Pole, and that is fixed, and the Earth rotates beneath it. So you can see in northern Norway, we're in a very good position for watching them. And because we land each evening, we can get off on shore with our tripods, which is really what you need for doing a long exposure to take photographs of northern lights. And we can just spend a lovely evening, very many happy hours, whiling away, just taking photographs of northern lights and waiting for them to show up. And the anticipation of them coming really is quite exciting. And a wave of electricity just goes through everybody on the boat when you see that first wisp of light dance across the sky, and then it just turns into this beautiful, absolutely stunning display. And we've seen them on 3 out of 3 trips so far. We've been running this tour for 3 years, so it's really, as far as reliable areas go, this really is a very good spot to be searching for them. And this is a photograph that I took while I was there in January, and it was a beautiful evening, just watching the northern lights, and a fantastic end to the day, and a fantastic end to the cruise, because it was on one of the final nights. And I hope a nice end to my talk. It's very difficult to do this tour just in 15 minutes, but if you would like more information about it, please do just go to our website to take a look, or give us a call in the office, and we'll be more than happy to chat to you about it. Thank you very much.